I'd worked 43 years at that factory. Same line my father worked, same time clock, same oil-stained floors, same chunk sound when you punched in at 6 a.m. I figured loyalty meant something. Figured if you showed up, did the work, brought home the check, that counted for something. I was wrong. I came home early that Tuesday. 5:47 p.m., truck still warm, pine air freshener. Linda bought me swinging from the mirror. I'd been rehearsing a speech for 3 weeks, something about marriage counseling, about trying harder, about not giving up on 35 years. I walked into my own bedroom and found my wife tangled up with a man half my age in sheets I'd washed that morning. Brad looked at me and smirked. Linda didn't cry. She laughed. This cold sound like ice cracking on a pond. Overtime won't fix this, buddy, Brad said. I just stood there, toolbox in my hand. Couldn't move. Couldn't speak. That was only the beginning. Linda's voice followed me down the basement stairs. And Tom, don't come up until you're ready to apologize. Apologize? For what exactly? For coming home? For existing? I set my toolbox on the concrete floor next to the washing machine. The basement smelled like detergent and mildew. There was a cot down there. We'd bought it years ago when Jessica's friends stayed over. I sat on it. Springs creaked. Upstairs, I could hear them laughing. Low voices, the bed frame against the wall. I didn't sleep that night. Just listened to the water heater kick on and off. Steady rhythm, reliable. More reliable than people, I reckon. 4:30 a.m., I made coffee in the dark. The pot gurgled and hissed. Same Mr. Coffee we'd had since 1997. Linda didn't come down. I figured she was still asleep. With him, I drove to the factory in the pre-dawn quiet. Radio off. Just the sound of the truck engine and my own breathing. The parking lot was nearly empty at 5:40. Ray's beat-up Civic was there. He always came in early to start cleaning before first shift. I sat in the truck for a few minutes, hands on the wheel, staring at nothing. A knock on the window made me jump. Ray stood there with his thermos, breath visible in the February cold. He didn't say anything, just looked at me with those old Korean War eyes that had seen too much. He opened my door. "Coffee?" he said. "Got some." "Mine's better." He poured me a cup. Black, 3 sugars, the way I'd drunk it for 20 years. We stood there in the parking lot while the sun came up orange behind the factory. "You look like hell, Tom." "Didn't sleep much." Ray nodded. He was 74 but still swept those floors every night. Same pattern for 40 years. Swish, swish, meditative, never complaining. "Whatever it is," Ray said, "it'll pass. Everything does." I wanted to believe him. The Monday production meeting, I could barely keep my hands steady. Margaret Chen ran these meetings, operations manager, sharp as a tack, didn't miss anything. She'd worked her way up from the floor, got her MBA at night school while raising 2 kids alone after her husband died. I gave my third shift report. Productivity up 2%, quality control good, 2 machines down for maintenance. Standard stuff. Margaret watched me the whole time. When I finished, she said, "Tom, stay back a minute." Everyone else filed out. Denise, started the same day as me in 1982, squeezed my shoulder as she passed. She knew. Somehow, they all knew. Margaret closed the door. Her office smelled like jasmine tea and old paper. She had a photo on her desk. Her late husband, before whatever happened that killed him, still smiling in the picture. "You wearing the same shirt as Friday?" she asked. I looked down. Maybe I was. "When's the last time you ate?" "I'm fine, Margaret." "That's not what I asked." She pulled my HR file. 26 years without a sick day. Perfect attendance. You've got 3 weeks of vacation you've never used. She closed the file. "Tom, I'm not going to pry, but I'm going to say this once. Whatever's happening at home, you don't have to handle it alone." My throat got tight. I nodded, didn't trust my voice. "Go home early today," she said. "That's an order." I didn't go home. Went to the shop instead, the little wood shop I'd set up in the garage years ago. Ran my hand over the lathe my father gave me. I was going to make Jessica a bookshelf for her new place. She was 7 months pregnant now, due in May. A girl, Eleanor, after my mother. The door from the house opened. Linda stood there in her bathrobe, arms crossed. "You're home early," Margaret sent me. "You tell her about us?" "Didn't have to. Whole town knows, Linda." She flinched at that. "Good. Brad's moving in," she said, just like that, casual as mentioning the weather. I kept my hand on the lathe, smooth wood, solid, real. "This is my house," I said. "For now." She smiled. Not warm, sharp. "You should talk to a lawyer, Tom." "I have. Mine says I'm entitled to half of everything. The house, your pension, all of it." 35 years, I said. "That's what you're going to do?" 35 years you were married to your job, not me." She turned to go, then stopped. "Oh, and Jessica called. She wants to talk to you." "What about?" "She thinks you should apologize to me. Work on saving the marriage." Linda's smile widened. "I told her I'm willing to try, if you are." The door closed behind her. I stood there in the garage, hands still on my father's lathe, and realized she'd already turned my own daughter against me. The fluorescent light hummed overhead. Somewhere outside, a dog barked. The lathe was cold under my palm. I didn't know it then, but Thursday night, everything would get worse. Thursday night, I stopped at Murphy's Tavern. 30 years I'd been stopping there on my way home from late shift. One beer, maybe two, shoot the breeze with whoever was around. Murphy knew my order before I opened my mouth, but when I walked in that night, the place went quiet. Brad was at the bar, 3 drinks deep by the look of him, holding court with a couple guys I didn't know. Young fellas, gym muscles, too much cologne. Brad saw me first. "Hey!" He raised his glass, voice loud enough to carry. "Everybody, Tom's here. Tom, you want a beer? I'm buying, with your money." The guys with him laughed. Not everyone did. Murphy looked at me with something like pity, and that was worse than the laughter. I turned around and walked back out. Sat in my truck for 10 minutes before my hands stopped shaking enough to drive. Saturday morning, Linda made pot roast. I came upstairs from the basement, and there she was, wearing the blue dress from our anniversary, hair done, table set for two. The whole house smelled like cinnamon and charred meat. She'd always burned the edges, same as my mother used to. "Sit," she said, not asking. I sat. She poured wine, cheap red stuff we'd bought at Kroger. Put her hand on mine. Cold fingers, wedding ring noticeably absent. "I've been thinking," Linda said, "about us. About what Jessica said." "What did she say?" "That we owe it to her. To the baby. To try." Linda's voice went soft, practiced. "I'm willing to go to counseling, Tom. Work through this. But we need to be transparent with each other. Honest." I wanted to believe her so bad it hurt. "There's paperwork," she continued. "Just fair division stuff. So the counselor can see we're both committed to being open about finances. That's where the trust broke down, right? Money?" She slid papers across the table. Official looking. Lots of small print. Just sign at the bottom. Shows good faith. The pot roast sat between us, steaming. She'd made mashed potatoes, too. My favorite. I signed. Didn't read it. Just wanted this. Her hand on mine. The smell of home cooking. The possibility that 35 years didn't have to end in a laugh. "There," Linda said, taking the papers. "That's my Tom. Always so trusting." She kissed my cheek. First time she'd touched me like that in months. That night I slept in our bed. Thought maybe I'd won her back. Sunday afternoon, Jessica came by. She was showing now, belly round under her sweater. She didn't hug me, just stood in the driveway, arms crossed. "Dad, Mom told me what happened Thursday, at the bar." "Jessica. She said you caused a scene, embarrassed her." I stared at my daughter. "That's what she said?" "She's trying, Dad. She made you dinner yesterday. She wants counseling." Jessica's voice had that edge I remembered from when she was 16. "But you have to meet her halfway. You have to stop being so cold all the time." "Cold. You were never home. Every birthday, every Christmas, you were at the factory. You chose overtime over us." Her voice cracked. "Maybe if you'd been around more, this wouldn't have happened." Something in my chest went tight. Not anger, Worse, the kind of hurt that doesn't make noise. Okay, I said. Okay, what? You're right. I should have been home more. Jessica softened a little. Mom says if you apologize, really apologize, she'll give you another chance. I nodded. Couldn't trust my voice. She left without coming inside. I watched her car disappear down the street, one hand on my truck for balance. My own daughter thought I deserved this. Monday morning, Margaret called me into her office before the production meeting. She looked serious, the way she did when somebody was getting fired. Sit down, Tom. I sat. She slid a folder across her desk. I did something I probably shouldn't have. Ran a background check on Brad Kessler. Why would you? Because I've seen that look before. The one you're wearing. My husband had the same look, near the end. She opened the folder. Brad's been sued twice. Financial exploitation. Once by a 68-year-old widow, once by a divorced teacher. Both cases settled or dismissed on technicalities. The office suddenly felt too small. There's more, Margaret said. She pulled out bank statements. I have a contact at First National. Linda's been draining your joint savings. $87,000 moved to an account she opened with Brad 3 months ago. 3 months, before I even knew about the affair. And those papers you signed Saturday? Margaret's voice went gentle. Tom, we need to talk to a lawyer. Today. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead. Outside the window, the factory floor churned on, machines running, people working, everything normal. My hands started shaking again. What did I sign, Margaret? I don't know yet, but I know someone who can find out. She wrote a name and number on a sticky note. Patricia Nguyen, best fraud attorney in 3 counties. Call her? Now. The sticky note sat on my palm. Yellow paper. Black ink. Patricia Nguyen. Esque. I thought about Linda's smile when I signed. That's my Tom. Always so trusting. Margaret, I said, how bad is this going to get? She looked at me with eyes that had seen her own betrayal, her own rebuilding. Worse before it gets better, she said. But Tom, you're not going through it alone. Patricia Nguyen's office sat above a Vietnamese restaurant on 4th Street. The smell of pho drifted up through the floorboards. Beef broth and star anise made my stomach growl. I hadn't eaten much in days. She was younger than I expected, maybe 45, sharp suit, sharper eyes. Had a wall full of diplomas and another wall full of framed newspaper clippings. Local attorney recovers 2 memoirs in elder fraud case. Margaret Chen speaks highly of you, Patricia said, gesturing to a chair. She doesn't speak highly of many people. She's good people. The best. Patricia opened the folder Margaret had given her. My life reduced to bank statements and legal documents. Let's start with what you signed Saturday. Do you have a copy? Linda took the papers. Of course she did. Patricia made a note. Describe them. I told her. Official looking. Fair division something. Small print I didn't read. Patricia's jaw tightened. Mr. Brennan, Tom, I need you to understand something. If those documents were what I think they were, your wife just committed fraud. Possibly multiple felonies. The word hung in the air. Felonies. There's more, she continued. The signatures on the bank transfer authorizations. I had an expert look at them. The notary stamp is from a company that went out of business in 2019. And your signature? Margaret said you broke your wrist as a kid? Left wrist, 4th grade. Your signature slants left because of that? These signatures are perfectly vertical. She forged them, Tom. Not even well. I stared at the papers on her desk. My name, but not my hand. How much? I asked. 87,000 from savings, already moved. But there's a pending transfer. Patricia turned her computer screen toward me. 200,000 from your pension, scheduled for this Friday, 9 a.m. The room tilted. Today's Tuesday, I said, voice not quite working right. Yes. 43 years. Every overtime shift, every skipped vacation, every Christmas morning I went in early because the machines needed monitoring. $200,000. Can we stop it? If we move fast, Patricia was already typing. I'm filing for an emergency asset freeze. But Tom, we need evidence. Not just for civil court, for criminal charges. We need proof of intent. Ray found me in the parking lot that night, 2 a.m., sitting in my truck. I'd been there since my shift ended at midnight, just staring at the steering wheel. He knocked on the window. I didn't move. He opened the door, stood there with his thermos, breath clouding. "You gonna sit here all night?" Thinking about it. Ray was quiet for a minute. Then, "I did something. Might have crossed a line." I looked at him. "Thursday night after you left Murphy's, I stayed. Listened to Brad run his mouth." Ray pulled a flip phone from his pocket. Old Nokia, the kind nobody uses anymore. Got him on tape, bragging about cleaning out the old fool. Said Linda's sitting on 400 grand and she's worth the wait. He handed me the phone. I pressed play. Brad's voice, drunk and loud. "Easiest mark I've ever run. Guy's so whipped he'll sign anything. Linda plays him like a fiddle. Couple more days and we're clear. Scottsdale, baby. Condo with a view." Someone asked, "What about the daughter?" Brad laughed. "She thinks daddy's the problem. Linda's got her convinced he's some cold bastard who ignored the family. It's beautiful, man. The wife turns the kid guilts the dad signs everything, like clockwork." I stopped the recording, handed the phone back. "I can testify," Ray said. "If it comes to that." "Ray, you didn't have to." "Yeah, I did." His voice went rough. "My son went through a divorce 10 years back. His wife cleaned him out, and I did nothing. Told him to handle it himself, be a man about it. He lost everything. Hasn't spoken to me since." Ray looked at the factory, all those windows glowing yellow in the dark. "I'm 74 years old, Tom. I ain't got many chances left to do the right thing." I didn't know what to say. "You got people in your corner," Ray said. "Don't forget that." Wednesday morning, Margaret called me to her office again. Patricia was already there, laptop open, looking grim. "Judge approved the emergency asset freeze," Patricia said. "Takes effect 6 a.m. Friday. But here's the catch. If we want criminal charges to stick, we need to catch them in the act. They have to show up at the bank and attempt the transfer." "What if they don't show up?" I asked. "Then it's just a civil case. Messy divorce. She might still get half in settlement." Patricia leaned forward. "Tom, I need you to understand. If they smell a trap, they'll back off, reschedule, move the money through different channels. We get one shot at this." Margaret's jasmine tea sat steaming on her desk. Outside her window, first shift was arriving. Cars pulling in, time clocks chunking, people starting another day. "They'll show up," I said. "How can you be sure?" I thought about Brad's smirk, Linda's cold fingers on mine. The way she'd said always so trusting, like it was a joke. "Because they think I'm broken," I said. "They think I'll just take it, roll over and die." Patricia studied my face. "And are you?" I thought about the 38 in my glove box, the Jim Beam I'd bought Tuesday night and hadn't opened yet, how close I'd come. "No," I said. "I'm done dying." Margaret's hand found my shoulder. Ray's recording sat in Patricia's briefcase. Somewhere across town, Linda and Brad were celebrating too early. Friday, 9 a.m., 60 hours. "Let's go to war," Patricia said. Wednesday night, I couldn't go home. Couldn't face that basement cot. Couldn't hear Linda and Brad upstairs in my bed, in my house, spending my money in their heads. I drove to the factory parking lot instead. 2 a.m. Place was empty except for the nightlights glowing orange against the February sky. I had a bottle of Jim Beam on the passenger seat. Bought it Tuesday, hadn't opened it. My father's 38 was in the glove box. Same gun his father carried in World War II. 3 generations of Brennan men, and the line was ending with me having nothing. I opened the glove box. The gun sat there, oil slick and heavy. I picked it up. Cold metal. Simple solution. I thought about the math. Life insurance would go to Linda. She'd love that. The irony. But the pension had a survivor clause. If I died, Jessica got it. All of it. Protected. She could use it for Eleanor. For the baby's college fund. Something good from all this wreckage. I pressed the barrel against my temple. Metal so cold it burned. My hand shook. My finger found the trigger. I thought about Eleanor. Jessica was due in May. I'd never meet my granddaughter. Never teach her to ride a bike like I taught Jessica. Never pass down my father's toolbox, his lathe, the things that mattered. I thought about Ray finding my body in the morning when he came to sweep the floors. Old man didn't deserve that. I thought about Margaret trying to save me and failing. That look she'd have. I'd seen it before in the photo on her desk. Her husband, before whatever happened that killed him. I lowered the gun. Not because I wanted to live, because dying right now meant Linda won, and I wasn't ready to give her that. 3 sharp knocks on the window made me jump. Margaret stood there in the cold, no coat, breath visible. She'd been crying. I could tell even in the dark. I put the gun back in the glove box, rolled down the window. "You always check the parking lot at 2 a.m.?" I asked. "Every night since Monday." Her voice was steady. "I know that look, Tom. I wore it myself once." "Margaret, get out of the truck." "I'm fine." "Get out." I got out. She stood there looking at me. 5 foot nothing, 58 years old, tougher than anyone I'd ever met. "You were gonna do it," she said. Not a question. I didn't answer. "My husband embezzled from our business," Margaret said. $200,000 over 3 years. Gambling debts. By the time I found out, we were bankrupt. He sat in our garage one night with the car running. I found him the next morning. The parking lot was so quiet I could hear the highway a mile away. I had to rebuild everything, she continued. The business, the finances, my life, alone, with 2 kids and a mortgage and everyone in town knowing my husband was a thief and a coward. Her voice cracked. "You know what the worst part was?" "What?" "That he didn't trust me enough to help him. He thought he had to carry it alone. And it killed him, Tom. The shame killed him more than the debt ever could." She stepped closer, grabbed my jacket with both hands. "You listen to me. Linda and Brad, they're nothing. They're small, mean people who take because they don't know how to build. But you?" She shook me. "You've built things your whole life. You built that factory floor's best safety record. You built a daughter who's about to be a mother. You built friendships with people like Ray who'd go to war for you." "I signed my life away over pot roast," I said. "So we'll get it back." She turned Jessica against me. "So we'll turn her back." "Margaret, I'm 62 years old, and I'm sleeping in a basement next to a water heater. I got nothing left." "You've got me," she said. "You've got Ray. You've got Patricia, who's filed 17 motions in 2 days because she hates predators like Brad. You've got Denise, who asked me yesterday if you were okay because she's known you 26 years and she's never seen you miss the coffee pot." My throat got tight. "You can die tonight," Margaret said, voice hard now. "You can sit in this truck and end it and give Linda everything she wants. Or you can make them wish they'd never been born. Your call." The orange lights hummed overhead. A semi passed on the distant highway. The February wind cut through my jacket. "I don't know if I'm strong enough," I said. "You don't have to be. That's what having people means." She pulled a business card from her pocket. Same one she'd given me before, but this time she'd written something on the back. "You're not alone. M. Go home," she said. "Get some sleep. Tomorrow we fight. Tomorrow's Thursday. Then Friday we win." She squeezed my arm. "Tom Brennan, you're one of the good ones. Don't let them take that from you." She walked back to her Camry, sensible navy blue, always parked in the same spot. I sat in my truck for another 10 minutes. Then I drove home. Linda was asleep upstairs. I went to the basement, sat at the old card table I kept down there, opened a notebook, started making a list. 1. Call Patricia at 8 a.m. 2. Get pension documents from Safe. 3. Talk to Jessica. My hands were steady for the first time in days. Ray's voice echoed in my head. "Sometimes the quietest men make the loudest stand." Friday, 9 a.m., 40 hours. I wasn't going to die in this basement. I was going to fight. And when the fighting was done, Linda was going to learn something her whole life had kept her from understanding. Loyalty isn't weakness, and silence isn't the same as surrender. I opened the Jim Beam, poured an inch into a coffee mug, raised it to the water heater, the cot, the concrete floor, all the humble things that had witnessed my breaking. "Here's to getting back up," I said to nobody. Then I got back up. Thursday morning, 8 a.m. sharp, I called Patricia. I need to talk to Jessica, I said. Get her on our side. Tom, if she's loyal to Linda, she's not loyal to Linda. She's loyal to the truth. She just doesn't know what the truth is yet. Patricia was quiet for a second. Okay, but we do it careful. If Linda finds out Jessica's helping us, she'll cut her off completely. Leave that to me. I met Jessica at the coffee shop on Main Street, neutral ground. She came in looking tired, one hand on her belly, and I realized I hadn't really looked at my daughter in months. She had shadows under her eyes, wedding ring on, but she kept twisting it, nervous habit from childhood. Thanks for meeting me, I said. She sat down, ordered decaf. Mom said you wanted to apologize. I do want to apologize, not for what she thinks. I slid an envelope across the table. But first, I need you to look at something. Dad, please. She opened it. Bank statements. Dates highlighted. $87,000 moved to an account with Brad's name on it. 3 months of withdrawals, all while Linda was telling me to work on the marriage. Jessica's face went white. Where did you get these? Doesn't matter. Keep looking. Hotel receipts. Not from 2 weeks ago like Linda claimed. From 8 months back, then 10 months, a year. She told me it just started, Jessica whispered. She told you a lot of things. I kept my voice gentle. And I'm not saying I was a perfect husband. I did work too much. I was gone when I should have been home. That's on me, and I'm sorry. Jessica's eyes filled. Dad, but this? I tapped the papers. This isn't about a lonely wife making a mistake. This is about 2 people running a con, and they're using you to make me feel guilty enough not to fight back. She covered her mouth with her hand. There's more, I said. Saturday night, when your mom made pot roast, I signed papers. She said they were for counseling. They were forged power of attorney documents. She's trying to take my pension, all of it. No, she wouldn't. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., she and Brad are going to the bank to transfer $200,000. I leaned forward. Jessica, I need your help. Not to hurt your mom. To stop her from destroying both of us. That afternoon, Jessica called me. Said she'd gone to Linda's attic. Told her mom she was looking for old baby clothes. Found a shoebox hidden under insulation. Letters. 38 of them. One for every year of Jessica's life. I'd forgotten about those letters. Started writing them the day she was born, one every birthday. Things I couldn't say out loud. How proud I was. How scared I was of failing her. How much I loved her even when I didn't know how to show it. Linda had kept them from her, hidden them for decades. Dad? Jessica said on the phone, crying now. There's something else in the box. What? A prenup. From when you and Mom got married. She made you sign it to protect her inheritance from her first marriage. My heart stopped. Jessica, I need you to bring me that prenup today. 5 p.m. Margaret's office. Patricia was already there. Ray, too. Jessica arrived last, prenup in hand, eyes red from crying. Patricia read it fast, lawyer brain working. Then she smiled. First real smile I'd seen from her. Linda's lawyer wrote this 20 years ago. Very thorough, very protective. Patricia looked up. It protects her inheritance from you, but it also protects your premarital assets from her, including the house you owned before the marriage and your pension. And here's the kicker. In cases of adultery or financial misconduct, the prenup becomes ironclad. Ray let out a low whistle. She trapped herself, Margaret said. 20 years ago, Patricia agreed. She was so worried about protecting her money, she locked in language that now destroys her. Jessica sat down hard. So Dad keeps everything? If we can prove adultery and fraud, yes. The house, the pension, his savings, all protected. Patricia turned to me. Tom, this changes the game. We're not just stopping a theft. We're pressing criminal charges and walking away clean. The office smelled like jasmine tea and hope. What do we do? I asked. Patricia pulled out a legal pad. Tomorrow, 9 a.m., they show up at the bank. Accounts are already frozen. My motion went through at 6 this morning. When they try to transfer the money, they'll be told it's impossible. That's when we move. Police? Ray asked. Already coordinated. They'll be in the parking lot. Patricia looked at each of us. But here's what matters. Linda and Brad have to attempt the transfer. They have to show criminal intent. If they walk away before trying, we've got nothing but a civil case. They'll try, I said. Brad's too arrogant. Linda's too greedy. Margaret squeezed my shoulder. Ray nodded. Jessica wiped her eyes. One more thing, Patricia said. She looked at Jessica. I'm going to need you there, as a witness. Your mother will try to talk her way out, but if her own daughter testifies about the hidden letters, the hotel receipts she found, the lies, that's what seals it. Jessica's hand went to her belly. She's my mom. I know, I said. And you don't have to. No. Jessica's voice went hard. No, I'll do it. She was going to take everything from you, from Eleanor's grandfather. She looked at me. I'm sorry I didn't believe you, Dad. You believe me now. That's what matters. Patricia closed her briefcase. 36 hours, people. Tom, go home, try to sleep, act normal. We can't spook them. We filed out into the February evening. Ray clapped my back. Margaret walked me to my truck. You okay? She asked. Getting there? She smiled, small, careful. See you tomorrow, Tom. Let's go win this thing. I drove home. Linda was in the living room with Brad watching TV, laughing. I went to the basement without a word. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. Justice or nothing. Thursday night, 11 p.m. I couldn't sleep. Just laid on that cot staring at the ceiling, listening to the water heater kick on and off. Upstairs, Linda and Brad were celebrating. Champagne cork popping. I heard it through the floorboards. Laughter, music. They thought tomorrow was payday. I kept thinking about our wedding day. September 1989. Linda in a cream dress because white felt wrong for a second marriage. Me in my father's suit, too tight in the shoulders. We'd said our vows in a little church on 5th Street, the same church where we'd bury my father 6 years later. She'd been pretty then. Scared, too. Her first husband had left her broke with a kid. I remembered thinking, I can give her stability, safety, a life where she doesn't have to worry. 35 years. Where did it go wrong? Was it the overtime, the missed birthdays? Or was it always going to end here? Me in a basement, her upstairs with a man who saw her as a mark, not a person. The ceiling creaked. Bed frame. I closed my eyes. Midnight. My phone buzzed. Text from Jessica. Can't sleep. Keep thinking about those letters. Why didn't you ever just talk to me? I stared at the screen. Thumbs too big for these tiny keys. Took me 5 minutes to type back. Didn't know how. My father never talked either. Just worked. Figured that's what men did. 3 dots. She was typing. That's sad, Dad. I know. Tomorrow's going to be hard. Yeah, I love you. Should have said that more. My throat got tight. I typed. Love you too, Jess. Always did. Even when I couldn't say it. The dots appeared again, then stopped. Then, see you at the bank. 8:45. I set the phone down. The basement was quiet except for that damn water heater. 1 a.m. Across town, I didn't know it yet, but Ray was sitting in his apartment above the Vietnamese restaurant. He'd cleaned his service pistol, habit from the war, couldn't sleep before a fight without checking his weapon. Not that he'd bring it tomorrow, just the ritual of it, muscle memory. He'd called his son, first time in 10 years, got voicemail, said, James, it's your old man. I know you don't want to hear from me, but I'm doing something tomorrow I should have done for you, helping a friend fight back. Just wanted you to know, I was wrong. Should have stood up for you when Marie cleaned you out. Should have been in your corner. I'm sorry, son. If you ever want to talk, I'm here. He hung up, sat in the dark, wondered if James would delete it without listening. 3 a.m. Margaret's house. She couldn't sleep either. Sat at her kitchen table with jasmine tea gone cold, looking at that photo of her husband, young, smiling. Before the gambling, before the embezzlement, before the garage and the car exhaust, she'd loved him once. Really loved him. And he'd still chosen shame over asking for help. Tom reminded her of what her husband could have been, a good man who made it through to the other side. She wasn't going to let him go the way her husband had, not on her watch. She picked up her phone, texted Tom, "You awake?" Three dots. "Yeah. Tomorrow we win. Hope so. Not hope. Fact. I don't lose, Tom. Ask anyone." A minute passed, then, "Thank you, Margaret, for everything." She smiled at her phone. Typed, "Thank me by living. That's all I want." 5 a.m. First light. I gave up on sleep, made coffee in the basement, Mr. Coffee gurgling. I'd bought this pot in 1997, same year Jessica graduated high school, same year I made supervisor. Felt like a lifetime ago. The garage door opened upstairs. Linda's car starting. She was leaving early, probably meeting Brad somewhere to go over the plan one last time. I heard her car pull away. Sat there with my coffee, thinking about my father. He'd worked that factory floor for 40 years, died of a heart attack at his lathe, tools in hand, 3 months after retirement. Everyone said he worked himself to death. Maybe he did. But he'd also worked himself into something. A legacy. A name people respected. A son who learned that showing up matters. "Dad," I said to the empty basement, "I hope you're watching today. I hope you're proud." The water heater kicked on. Steady, reliable, doing its job. 8 a.m. My truck wouldn't start, battery dead, or maybe something worse. I was about to call Margaret when Ray's Civic pulled up. He rolled down the window. "Get in, I'll drive." "Ray, you don't have to." "I was at Incheon, Tom. I was at Chosin Reservoir. I've seen the worst humanity's got." He smiled, old and tough. "Linda and Brad, they're nothing." I got in. The Civic smelled like coffee and Old Spice. We drove to the bank in silence. The sun was coming up orange over the factory. Another shift starting. People punching in, doing their work, keeping the world running. We pulled into First National's parking lot at 8:45. Patricia's car was already there. Unmarked police cruiser in the back row. Jessica pulled in, hands white on the steering wheel. Margaret arrived last, parked next to me, squeezed my hand through the window. 8:58. The glass doors of the bank reflected the morning sun. 9 o'clock. A pearl-white Porsche Cayenne turned into the lot. Brad and Linda got out, laughing about something, his hand on her back, confident, entitled. They walked toward the bank doors. Ray looked at me. "Ready?" I took a breath. "Let's finish this." We walked into the bank 30 seconds behind them. Patricia first, briefcase in hand, then me, Ray, Margaret, Jessica bringing up the rear. Linda and Brad stood at the customer service desk, all smiles. The representative, woman named Carol, Patricia had briefed her yesterday, was pulling up their account information. Linda saw me. Her face flickered. Surprise, then calculation, then that cold smile. "Tom, what are you doing here?" "Same as you, I reckon. Banking." Brad turned, and I saw it then, the flash of worry behind his gym bro confidence. He knew something was off. Con men always do. Carol's computer beeped. She frowned at her screen. "Mrs. Brennan, I'm showing. There seems to be a hold on your accounts." "A hold?" Linda's voice went sharp. "What kind of hold?" "Let me get my manager." Carol stood, disappeared into the back. Brad's hand tightened on Linda's shoulder. "Babe, maybe we should—" "No." Linda's jaw set. "It's a mistake. Some computer glitch." The manager came out. "Mr. Hodges, been at this branch 20 years, face like granite. Mrs. Brennan, Mr. Kessler, I'm afraid all accounts associated with your names have been frozen by court order pending investigation of fraud and forgery." The bank went quiet. Other customers watching now. Linda's face drained white. She turned to me. "Tom, Tommy, there's been a mistake. Tell them there's been a mistake." I looked at her, really looked at her. This woman I'd loved for 35 years. This woman who'd laughed when I found her in our bed. Who'd hidden my letters to my daughter. Who'd forged my name to steal my pension. "The only mistake was mine," I said, voice steady. "I forgot to read what I signed. Won't make that mistake again." Patricia stepped forward, pulled documents from her briefcase, slid them across the counter to Mr. Hodges. "Prenuptial agreement dated August 1989. Protects Mr. Brennan's premarital assets, including the house and his pension, in cases of adultery or financial misconduct. Linda stared at the papers, her papers, the ones she'd made me sign 20 years ago. No, she whispered. No, that's not. You wrote this, Patricia said. Your lawyer. Very thorough work, by the way, especially the clause about forfeiture in case of fraud. Brad was backing toward the door. Casual, like he was just stepping out for air. Ray moved faster than a 74-year-old man should. Blocked the exit, arms crossed. Where you going, son? I don't have to stay here. Yeah, you do. Ray smiled. No warmth in it. Police are outside. You can walk out to them, or they can come in for you. Your call. Brad looked at Linda, then at Ray, then made his choice. Lunged for the door. Ray caught him by the collar. For a second they struggled. Then Ray did something with his wrist, some Korean War move, and Brad went down on one knee, gasping. I said, stay put, Ray said. The glass doors opened. 2 officers walked in. Not rushing. Professional. Linda's voice went high, desperate. Tom, please. We can fix this. I made mistakes, but we can. You turned our daughter against me, I said. You hid letters I wrote her for 38 years. You forged my signature. You and him. I pointed at Brad, still on his knee. You planned this for months, maybe years. Tommy, you wanted a real man? My voice didn't shake, didn't rise, just cut clean. Real men read the fine print. One officer reached for Linda's arm. She jerked away. This is insane. Jessica, tell them. Tell them your father's confused. Jessica stepped forward. I hadn't seen her move. She stood beside me now, one hand on her belly. Mom, Jessica said, quiet. I found the letters. In the attic. All of them. Linda's face crumbled. I found the hotel receipts too, Jessica continued. From a year ago. And the bank statements where you moved Dad's money. Her voice cracked. You lied to me. About everything. Baby, you don't understand. I understand you were going to take everything from my daughter's grandfather. Jessica wiped her eyes. I understand I almost helped you do it. The officer took Linda's arm. This time she didn't resist, just stared at me like she was seeing a stranger. Ma'am, you're under arrest for fraud, forgery, and attempted grand larceny. You have the right to remain. The Miranda rights faded to background noise. I watched them cuff Linda's wrists. Pearl bracelet I'd bought her for our 20th anniversary, right next to the steel. Brad was cuffed too, hauled to his feet by Ray and the second officer. This is bullshit, Brad spat. My lawyer already called me, Patricia said. Offered full cooperation in exchange for immunity. Seems you've been recording Linda all week. Very enterprising. The color drained from Linda's face. She turned to Brad. What? Brad wouldn't meet her eyes. You. Linda's voice broke. You set me up? I set us up, babe. You were just too dumb to see it coming. Brad smiled. That same smirk from my bedroom doorway. I don't do jail time. Not my style. They walked him out first. Then Linda. She stopped at the door. Looked back at me one last time. I loved you once, she said. Quiet. Almost real. I know, I said. I loved you too. The door closed behind her. The bank was silent except for the hum of fluorescent lights and Carol typing at her computer, life going on. Patricia touched my elbow. Tom, let's go outside. Give your statement to the police, and we're done. Done. 35 years. Done. Margaret's hand found mine. You okay? I wasn't sure. Felt empty. Hollowed out. But also lighter. Like I'd been carrying something heavy for so long I'd forgotten what it felt like to stand up straight. Yeah, I said. I think I am. We walked out into the February morning. The sun was bright. Too bright. Jessica hugged me in the parking lot. Held on tight. I'm sorry, Dad, she whispered. Nothing to be sorry for. I should have believed you. You believe me now. I held her, my daughter, Eleanor's mother. That's what matters. Ray leaned against his Civic, lighting a cigarette. Hell of a morning. Margaret stood beside me, not touching, just present. Patricia was already on her phone, handling the next thing. I looked at all of them, these people who'd gone to war for me, who'd saved my life, who'd taught me what loyalty actually looked like. Thank you, I said. Not adequate, but all I had. Ray nodded. Margaret squeezed my hand. Jessica smiled through tears. The police cruiser pulled away with Linda in the back seat. The Porsche sat abandoned in the lot, leased probably. Brad had been driving on borrowed everything. What now? I asked. Patricia snapped her phone shut. Now, you go home. I handle the legal cleanup. 6 to 8 weeks, the divorce is final, the house is yours, pensions protected. Linda's looking at 18 months if she takes a plea deal. 6 to 8 weeks. A lifetime ago, that would have destroyed me. Now, it felt like possibility. Come on, Margaret said. I'll buy everyone breakfast. My treat. We piled into cars, Ray's Civic, Margaret's Camry, Jessica's SUV. A convoy of unlikely warriors. I rode with Margaret. Her car smelled like jasmine tea and something else. Hope, maybe. Or just clean upholstery. You did good today, Tom, she said. We did good, she smiled. Yeah, we did. At the diner, over coffee and eggs, Ray told war stories. Jessica talked about nursery colors. Patricia reviewed next steps. Margaret sat beside me, close enough our shoulders touched, and for the first time in months, I felt something I'd almost forgotten. Peace. The legal machinery ground on for 6 weeks. Patricia filed motions. Linda's lawyer filed counter motions, depositions, discovery, the whole ugly apparatus of American justice, slow as winter molasses. Brad kept his immunity deal, testified against Linda in exchange for walking free. I sat in that courtroom and watched him point at her, say things like, she masterminded it, and I was uncomfortable but went along. Lies, all lies, but legal lies. Linda's lawyer tried to paint me as controlling, emotionally absent, the real villain. Brought up every missed birthday, every overtime shift, every time I chose the factory over family. Some of it was true, most of it hurt. Jessica testified. That was the hardest part, watching my daughter on the stand, voice shaking, telling a room full of strangers about finding those letters, about hotel receipts and lies. Linda wouldn't look at her. The judge, woman named Morrison, maybe 65, steel gray hair, didn't buy the victim narrative. Fraud was fraud. Forgery was forgery. Sentencing came down on a Thursday. 18 months federal prison, restitution of $87,000 plus legal fees, 5 years probation after release. Linda cried. Her lawyer hugged her. I sat in the back row and felt nothing. Not satisfaction, not grief, just tired. I moved out of the house in April. Couldn't stay there anymore. Even with Linda gone. Too many ghosts. The bedroom where I found them. The kitchen where she served pot roast and lies. The basement where I almost ended it. Found a smaller place near Jessica, ranch style, needs work, but it's got a porch, a real porch, not just concrete steps. Ray helped me move. So did Margaret. We packed boxes, loaded my truck, cleaned out 35 years of accumulated life. Margaret found my wedding ring in a dish by the sink. I'd finally gotten it cut off at the jeweler's. She held it up. What do you want to do with this? Trash it. She pocked it instead. I'll hold on to it. Someday you might want to remember. Remember what? That you survived. Jessica had the baby in May. Eleanor Marie Brennan Kowalski, 7 pounds, 6 ounces. Born on a Tuesday at 3:47 a.m. I was in the waiting room with Margaret and Ray when Jessica's husband came out, grinning like a fool. It's a girl. Everyone's healthy. Jess wants to see you, Tom. I walked into that hospital room, and there was my daughter, exhausted and radiant, holding this tiny person wrapped in pink. Dad, meet your granddaughter. Eleanor had Jessica's nose, my mother's chin. When I held her, she grabbed my finger with this impossible grip, so small, so strong. Hey there, Eleanor, I whispered. I'm your grandpa. I'm gonna do better by you than I did by your mama. That's a promise. Jessica cried. I cried. Margaret took a photo on her phone. Me holding Eleanor, both of us with wet faces. That photo sits on my new kitchen counter now. The divorce finalized in June. Papers came in the mail. I signed them at my kitchen table with coffee gone cold. 35 years. Done. I kept the house, sold it to a young couple with 2 kids. They were excited about the backyard, the garage, all the space. I didn't tell them about the ghosts. Maybe they'd make better memories there. The pension stayed intact. The retirement fund recovered. Patricia worked miracles getting the stolen money back. Most of it anyway. Legal fees ate some. But I had enough. More than enough. I retired in July. 43 years at that factory, and my last day felt like any other. Punched out for the final time, chunk chunk, and walked to my truck. Denise caught me in the parking lot, hugged me hard. You take care of yourself, Tom Brennan. Will do. Margaret walked out with me. She'd put in her notice too, taking early retirement, moving closer to her daughter in Ohio. So this is it, I said. For now, she smiled. But I'll be back to visit, frequently. How frequently? Depends. On what? On whether you're cooking dinner or I am. I laughed. First real laugh in months. I'm a terrible cook. Good thing I'm not. She kissed my cheek, quick, careful, then got in her Camry and drove away. Ray leaned against his Civic, smoking. She likes you. I know. You like her? I think so. Don't know if I'm ready. Nobody's ever ready. Ray flicked his cigarette. But Tom, don't wait too long. Life's shorter than you think. He drove away too. I stood in that parking lot, empty now, everyone gone, and looked at the factory. All those years, all that work, it meant something. Not everything, but something. I got in my truck and went home. To my porch, my quiet, my second chance. 6 months after the bank, life looked different. September rolled in warm and golden. I sat on my porch most evenings now, watching the sun go down over Jessica's neighborhood. She lived 3 blocks away, close enough to walk. Tuesday nights, Ray came over for poker. He'd retired too, finally, said his knees couldn't take the factory floors anymore. We played 5-card draw, drank cheap beer, talked about nothing important. Sometimes we didn't talk at all, just shuffled cards and existed. Margaret came by Thursdays. She'd moved back from Ohio. Her daughter didn't need as much help as expected. Turned out I needed to be here more, she'd said, not explaining what here meant. She taught me to cook. Real cooking, not just grilling burgers, Vietnamese food mostly, banh mi and pho and these spring rolls that took forever but tasted like summer. We didn't call it dating, didn't call it anything, just Thursday dinners, her teaching, me learning. Sometimes our hands touched reaching for the same knife. Sometimes they didn't pull away quick. Eleanor was 6 months old now. I watched her Wednesdays while Jessica taught, held her, sang her the old songs my mother sang to me, read her books about trains and trucks and brave little engines that could. She had this grip, tiny fingers wrapping around mine, and I'd think about that wedding ring I couldn't get off, how it trapped me. Eleanor's grip wasn't like that. It was trust, choice, love that didn't hurt. One Sunday, Jessica brought her over for dinner. Margaret was there too, making spring rolls. Ray showed up uninvited with a six-pack. We sat on the porch after, Jessica rocking Eleanor, Ray dealing cards, Margaret close beside me, our shoulders touching. Dad, Jessica said, I talked to Mom yesterday. Everyone went quiet. How is she? I asked, because it seemed like the thing to say. Angry, mostly at Brad. Jessica shifted Eleanor to her other shoulder. She asked about you. What did you tell her? That you're good. That you've got people who care about you. That Eleanor knows her grandpa. Jessica looked at me. She cried. I didn't know what to do with that. Didn't know if I cared anymore. I'm not mad at her, Jessica continued. Not like I was. I'm just sad. For her. She had this and threw it away. She gestured at the porch, at all of us. This. Margaret's hand found mine, right there on the armrest, in front of everyone. Warm, Real. Ray dealt another hand. Life's funny that way. Sometimes you gotta lose everything to figure out what mattered. Eleanor grabbed at my finger. I let her have it. Linda took 35 years, I said, not really to anyone. But she gave me something too. Kicked my ass hard enough I stopped just surviving. And started living, Margaret finished. Yeah. The porch rocker creaked. Cicadas sang in the trees. Somewhere down the street, kids were playing, laughter and bicycle bells and summer sounds. I looked at Eleanor, at Jessica, at Ray shuffling cards, at Margaret beside me, patient and steady. 43 years I'd worked that factory floor, thinking the point was providing. Thinking love was measured in overtime and paychecks and things you could hold. Now I knew different. The point was this: being here when the people you love need you, and letting them be here when you need them. Eleanor yawned. Jessica stood to take her home. Ray folded his cards, said he'd see me Tuesday. Margaret started clearing dishes. Stay a while? I asked her. She smiled. Was planning on it. The sun set orange over the neighborhood. The porch rocker creaked. Margaret's hand stayed in mine. I closed my eyes and listened. Dishes clinking in the kitchen, distant traffic, the sound of life going on. And for the first time in longer than I could remember, I wasn't just surviving. I was home. They say a man's worth is measured in what he builds, the houses he raises, the money he makes, the legacy he leaves behind. I don't know if that's true anymore. I built a lot of things in 62 years. Built a career on that factory floor. 43 years of showing up, doing the work, never complaining. Built a marriage that lasted 3 decades before it broke. Built a life I thought was solid. Turns out, I was building on sand. But here's what I learned. Sitting on this porch with my granddaughter sleeping on my chest and a good woman in the kitchen humming while she cooks and an old veteran coming by Tuesday for cards. Sometimes the best thing you can build is just this: connection, presence, the courage to let people in when every instinct says hide. Linda's still in prison, got another year left. Brad's somewhere in California, running his same con on some other lonely woman, I reckon. The house sold. The factory retired me with a plaque and a handshake. All those things I thought mattered, the overtime, the pension, the proof that I'd provided, they mattered some, but not most. What matters is Eleanor's hand wrapped around my finger. Jessica's smile when she drops by unannounced. Ray's terrible jokes over poker. Margaret's patient teaching, her way of saying, try again, when I burn the rice. What matters is, I almost died in a parking lot at 2 in the morning, and I didn't. And every day since has been a gift I nearly refused. I'm 63 now. Got maybe 20 good years left, maybe less, but I'm not spending them in basements anymore, not sleeping next to water heaters, not apologizing for existing. I'm spending them here, on this porch, in this life, with these people who prove that loyalty isn't dead. It's just rare and worth fighting for. The sun's going down now. Margaret's calling me for dinner. Eleanor's waking up, making those little baby sounds. I stand up, careful with her weight, and go inside, into the light, into the warmth, into the life I almost missed. And I think, thank God I read the fine print. Thank God I fought back. Thank God I lived.